Coming up, will Juneteenth finally become a state holiday?
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A new bill to make Juneteenth a state holiday was filed yesterday in the General Assembly. This comes after lawmakers promised to pass legislation recognizing the holiday years ago. Samantha Valentino has the latest.
Despite promises from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, Juneteenth is still not a holiday in Kentucky. After 2 years passed without a Juneteenth bill being filed, WKYT asked Senate President Robert Stivers what happened.
We were working on so many big issues, and under the limited circumstances that we had in the short period of time, it probably slipped through the cracks, but I apologize for that not getting through.
Last year, Senator Gerald Neal filed Senate Bill 318 to make Juneteenth a state holiday, but it never made it out of the Senate Committee on State and Local Government. However, the House passed its version of the bill, House Bill 133, filed by Representative George Brown of Lexington.
I think it's an opportunity for us to discuss issues, and I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do around that. This is not just about black folks bringing attention to something. It's about all of us.
I sat down with Senator Neal last month. In the past, he'd told WKYT he planned to continue the fight for Juneteenth to become a state holiday. Is that still something you're pushing for?
Yes, all those things, they're not necessarily going to come up on every cycle, but all those things stay in my quiver and my opportunity to pull those arrows when I can. So, yeah.
Fast forward to Tuesday, Senator Neal filed Senate Bill 270 on the last day to file Senate bills during the 2023 session.
Black history is American history. And it's very important for us to understand what that really means. You know, it seems simple to say that, but the fact of the matter is that they aren't apart. They are integrally entwined.
Well, Juneteenth has been a federal holiday since 2021. Since 2020, Governor Andy Beshear has signed a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. These proclamations do not make Juneteenth a state holiday, and a new one must be signed each year. Right now, Senate Bill 270 has not been assigned to a committee. Today was the last day to file new legislation to be considered for this year's General Assembly session. A high-profile sports betting bill was among the last bills to be filed in the House. There's also a medical marijuana bill to be considered. That bill would only allow edible marijuana, not the kind you smoke, but one supporter says the bill would still be beneficial.
This will help them. We're the #1 state for cancer. So there's a lot of cancer patients that may benefit from this.
The session will end March 30th, but lawmakers will want to pass most bills by March 16th to ensure their veto power is still available. A Lexington lawmaker introduced a bill on abortions today. Representative Lindsey Burke says the legislation would expand abortion rights in Kentucky. Right now, almost all are banned, including in cases of rape and incest. Advocates want more exceptions. Burke admits it will be an uphill battle to get this bill a hearing before a Republican-dominated legislature. Another bill targeting transgender youth in Kentucky is moving forward in Frankfort. House Bill 470 would prohibit gender-affirming care for anyone under the age of 18. Doctors who prescribe hormone therapy or other gender transition services could lose their license to practice medicine. Anyone who fails to report gender transition services could also be charged. Schools would also be required to inform parents if a child expressed any, quote, inconsistency between their sex and gender, and a minor would be unable to legally change their name if they are transitioning. The bill was introduced yesterday and has been assigned to the House Judiciary Committee.
It was a warm day all throughout the mountains, a warm and breezy day. As a matter of fact, let's run down the numbers. It was a warm one out there. Temperatures hit 80. It was actually a 30-degree swing today. The low this morning was right around where we should be for highs this time of year at Jackson. 50 was the low, 80 was the high, and same thing at London was also a record high at 75. You see that? If you look at the top and bottom of the screen, we'll break it down for you. We smashed the record at Jackson by 9 degrees, smashed it by 5 in London, so it was a warm day. It was a breezy day. Winds gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour around the region. Those continue to diminish a little bit tonight, but still some gusty winds. 45 gust in Jacksboro, 35 mile per hour gust in London ahead of these showers. We remain in the 70s for now, but those showers moving into the western sections will cool us off a little bit overnight before another warm day as we head into tomorrow. Details on if we could break more records as a dynamic weather system moves across the eastern third of the nation. That's coming up in a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. Transportation crews are working to repair many roads damaged by last week's flooding. Back in July, many of these same roads were damaged during the historic flood, but the recent weather has caused a few more steps to be added to some projects. With all of these crews out and about, officials also want to remind drivers to be careful around work sites.
We always tell them to be vigilant and keep an eye out and pay attention, but when you're working and you're focusing on something, it's sometimes hard to see everyone else. So we ask that the public, take a little responsibility on that and help, keep our guys safe when they are out there working.
Woodward says despite the recent flooding, KYTC District 12 will push forward to ensure the safety of those traveling East Kentucky's roadways. Another historic flood more than 50 years ago was discussed tonight at Hazard Community and Technical College. The February 26, 1972 Buffalo Creek disaster in Logan County, West Virginia killed 125 people and left thousands homeless. It happened when a coal slurry impoundment collapsed. The HCTC Humanities faculty hosted a showing of 2 award-winning Apple Shop documentaries about the disaster, followed by a discussion with the director. They talked about the similarities and differences from that disaster to July's flood in eastern Kentucky and the mental impacts and housing issues following disasters. Officials with the Claiborne County, Tennessee Sheriff's Office are looking for a man they say is breaking into people's cars. Police say the man was caught opening unlocked cars in an LMU parking lot. The man was seen driving an early 2000s Volkswagen Golf. If you have any information, you can call LMU Police at 423-869-6338. Now to a developing story in Florida where police have arrested a 19-year-old man in connection with the shooting deaths of 3 people today. Deputies believe Keith Melvin Moses is responsible for the shooting spree that began when he killed a woman in her 20s. Hours later, the same suspect is believed to have fired on an Orlando television crew who was covering the story. One member of the 2-person news crew died. The other is listed in critical condition. Their names have not been released yet. Moses was charged with murder. The Owsley County community is mourning the loss of 74-year-old Archie Michael Mays, who died on Thursday. Mays is being remembered by friends and family as a true joy to be around and a devoted member of his community. Mays was most notably the longest-serving circuit clerk in Owsley County history, holding the office for 45 years before he retired.
To be clerk for 45 years is a huge feat in itself, and to come into that role, was overwhelming, and it still is at a lot of times, but I look toward him as a role model to think about what would Mike do in certain situations, and I look for his wisdom, and I still do.
Those who knew Mays says his legacy lives on through the countless lives he has touched, and his shoes will never truly be filled. Mays' funeral will be held tomorrow at the Boonville Funeral Home at 11. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, we preview a new documentary about Cocaine Bear as we await the premiere of the new movie with a Kentucky connection.
And more showers on the way tonight, already working in, but some of us could still flirt near 80 tomorrow. Breaking it down.